Hey guys, Coach here. Welcome to this week's show. I'm glad you took a couple of minutes. Hey, this particular week we're talking about lawn substitutes. You know, with the ever increasing, especially in the country I'm from, you know, the U.S., with Washington, Oregon, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, the whole western U.S. is under a drought watch, some of it being an exceptional drought watch, and other is just a mega drought watch. They're running freaking out of water. So how do we maintain our landscapes and stuff when it comes to this type of situation? Well, you know, municipalities are the governing agencies that rule our cities and counties and states. They start issuing mandates yet again, you know, where you can only water maybe twice a week. So in this particular episode, we're talking about lawn substitutes that'll help you save money, save you some time in the form of maintenance, and be able to step by step it from start to finish on how to go, taking that lawn out and putting something a little more drought tolerant in. Are you with me? I'm glad you're here. Hey, I'm Matt. You can call me Coach. Every week, every Friday, I bring to you landscape concepts and design theories in an easy to understand format so you can get results you need professionally and save a boatload of money and be self-reliant in this day and age. After 20 plus years of in the green industry, I bring to you a lot of knowledge and experience that I want to share with you, that new, modern, self-reliant, educated homeowner of today. Water restrictions. All across the West, we see it more and more frequently all the time. You know, and the municipalities, I'll tell you this right up front, the municipalities are some of the biggest violators of their own rules. Yep, those people that are laying down the law and saying, hey, in order to have enough water, we need to restrict our landscape watering. And yet, countless times, coming from Northern California, I have seen those same municipalities be the biggest violators with watering at the wrong time of day, watering on the off days when you're not supposed to be watering, having timer issues where things are coming on 3 to 5 times a day all the time and overwatering. And yet here we are, the homeowners, who are trying very much to be lawful residents of a town or county, and sometimes we get stuck between a rock and a hard place. Hey, where I came from, there was a small town that I hailed from. We actually had water police. Water police, you know, people that were employed by the city that I lived in, that literally their only job was to go drive around and spot, warn, and in some cases eventually cite water violations. You could not have water running out of your yard and into the gutter. You could not be watering on an odd day if you were an even number address, or an even day if you were on an even number address. All of that became very, very restrictive. Well, you know something, as a professional, I tried very, very hard, both as a professional landscape contractor and as a homeowner, to work with the rules that were there and not against them. And the way I did that is I converted a lot of my original home when I was contracting, when I was on municipal water, I converted it down to pretty close to 65% less lawn. So let's look at some lawn alternatives. You know, I'm a big fan of turf, and in its proper proportions and stuff in a landscape, I think it really is a beneficial element. You know, it cleans the air, it cools the surroundings, and in most cases, I am a big fan. However, I've traveled the United States and Canada quite extensively over the past few years. And I'll tell you what, I have literally had to pick up my proverbial jaw off the ground when I have seen lawns that are literally multi-acres in size. Multi-acres. Some friends we're staying with right now, bless their hearts, you know, they have a 2+ acre turf that they have to mow twice a month, sometimes even once a week. And they spend an average of about 4.5 hours taking care of it. 4.5 hours. But those are generally landscapes where Mother Nature takes care of the watering for you during the growing season. There's places east of the Mississippi, you know, they get water on average of twice a week, sometimes more, and it's always enough to keep everything nice and green. And it was one of the biggest things Maestro and I noticed when we did travel back east, is everything has a green palette to it. There's very few places that are tan like it is out west. So we used to nickname it Serengeti tan. We have not seen that in quite some time. But out west, there's not many places except golf courses in this day and age that have multi-acre lawns that are being taken care of, not even on wells anymore. So what are some of the solutions? Let's take a look. First of all, let's talk about the conversion. I'm going to address this from an average perspective. An average residential home in the suburbs that has less than 1,000 square feet of lawn, both front or in the back. And you're going to convert it to a lawnless landscape to start saving some money on water bills, saving some time in maintenance, and eventually lowering your water bill and your maintenance time by a drastic amount. So conversions generally start with spraying and killing of the existing lawn. If you happen to have a turf that has a multitude of grass species in it, like you have some fescue, you got some bluegrass, you got some ryegrass, you got some Bermuda, really encourage you to spray and kill that lawn so that you get a good kill not only above ground, but also down below ground. If you have any sort of lawn grass that is kind of rhizomic, like Bermuda or zoysia or centipede grass, these kind of things kind of spread underneath ground and pop up. And if you went in there with just a pick and shovel and started taking it all out, you could get it all out initially, but those rhizomes that are underneath the grass, sometimes inches, sometimes up to 18 inches, are going to pop back and going to pop back relatively quickly right in the middle of your new lawn substitute area. So kill it well. Next step is removal. There's a couple of ways you can do that. You can approach it from a pick and shovel route, maybe get a couple of guys and gals and you just start picking it out, picking that stuff out. That's the hard way. If you'd like to do the smart way, go to a local rental yard, get a good quality sod cutter, cut the whole area out. Make sure you flag all of your sprinkler heads before you start the demolition process. If you have more than one sprinkler zone of watering, before you start the process, flag those sprinklers with different color flags, blue on one side, yellow on the other, or whatever. That way, keep those flags in place so you're not chopping off sprinkler heads, breaking stuff off, and then you tend to forget about it during the project. Then remove all the sod, throw it in a dump trailer, throw it in a dumpster, throw it in a pickup, whatever you need to do, and haul it from the site. Our next step is layout, and layout is going to involve spacing, and spacing is critical when it comes to this. It depends on what you've decided to plant in the form of plant selection. More spacing for the low-growing shrubby type of selections that we'll go over here in a few minutes. Closer together for ground covers that don't spread quite as fast or quite as much. And then sometimes somewhere in between. Your nursery professional is going to be able to tell you, hey, since you've selected dwarf mondo grass, you're going to need to put that stuff 4 to 6 inches apart. Or hey, you've chosen blue rug juniper, so you can put that stuff 4 feet apart, or maybe even a little more. Okay, so spacing is very important. Layout is going to be in alternate fashions, okay, almost like a brick layout type of thing. And you're going to want those spaces to be, the same distance front to back as it is side to side, so it comes out nice and even when it all fills in. Then once you get all your layout done, either you've placed all your plants in the area, or you've taken an inverted spray can of paint and you've marked all the spots. Now it's time to dig the holes, amend those holes 50-50 with your native soil, some starter fertilizer, and a little bit of organic compost or soil amendment, and then start your planting plan. Nice and easy, take your time. Once you're done with all of that, give everything a good drink, and now we have to decide, how are you going to water it? Are you going to need some municipal water to still get it through the growing season? If so, this is where the irrigation conversion comes into play. And what you're going to do is cap off all those zones except 2. And each one in each zone is going to be converted to a drip irrigation. And where you buy your materials, they will be able to tell you exactly how to do it. Between pressure reducing valves, maybe a small NDS box, filtration, that kind of stuff. Pretty easy to do. Probably take you about an hour on each zone and you're ready to go. Then you've got your supply lines that'll be winding through your new area or your Netafim drip tubing, however you plan on watering it. And then we're going to mulch it or we're going to fabric it, depending on what style you've used. If you fabric it, you can do that at planting time by cutting an X slit where the plant's going to go, or you can do it afterwards by, with a couple extra hands, rolling it over the area, X slitting it where the plants are at, and then staple everything down and trim the edges. Either way, I've done it both ways. So now that you've got it in there, mulch that area really, really well. Now, if you're doing a ground cover, a run and root, a spreading type of ground cover, you're not going to want to do the fabric. You're just going to want to mulch the area, keep it weed free, and let everything get off to a good start. It's going to require some time and investment up front, but once underway and once established, this new lawn area is going to be far less maintenance. You just got to take care of that little baby the first time it comes home. Okay, don't go run off to the casino for a weekend. You got to take care of that little baby for right now. Then later on, fairly quick, within 90 days, you'll be pretty much free and clear. Okay, let's differentiate between lawn substitute and lawnless landscape before we go any further. A lawnless landscape is a landscape that is done correctly, is a artistically woven and laid out groupings of plants that include shrubs and perennials, maybe small trees, boulders, ground cover, and it's all woven in a tapestry that really looks good and it's really functional. Versus a lawn substitute, which is where the existing turf is removed and then a new plant material is put in that is a lot less maintenance and a lot less water thirsty. So that's the difference. The lawnless landscape will be the whole entire yard. The lawn substitute will have the new plant material, and then if in good shape, the existing yard remains the same. So this is the time to have a paper and pencil, or you can record it on your phone, or whatever you want to do. Here are some selections that I have used and that I suggest for lawn substitute areas. Are you ready? One is creeping thyme. Another one is called blue star creeper, Isotoma. Another one is mosses. Boy, if you're in the right area, especially up in the Oregon, Washington area, or shady coastal areas, Scotch moss and Irish moss together in a small scale lawn substitute, that looks pretty slick. Okay, so moving on. Sedums. You can try Angelina sedum. You can try red dragon's blood stonecrop sedum and some of the other sedums. Not really good for play areas, obviously, not good for foot traffic. So if you're going to replace it and you need a path to get through, do it around stones like flagstones and stuff like that. Another small scale one, and also tolerate up to a half a day of shade, is Corsican mint. Huh, really good. Tap your fingers on that. It really puts out a beautiful aromatic fragrance. Then you look at some of the shrubbier guys. Blue carpet or blue rug juniper, buffalo juniper, Bar Harbor juniper, creeping manzanita if you're in a real drought tolerant area, especially you in SoCal and Arizona and places like that. Mondo grass, both the dwarf mondo grass and the standard, both, you have to put them a little closer together, but when they fill in, damn, they almost, take a look, they almost look like a lawn from a distance, they really do. They tend to run and root and come up an area, so an edging is really a good idea. Don't leave a natural edge because it can tend to come up where you don't want it. Chamomile, creeping gazania or trailing gazania, clover. Now I tell you about clover, I only say that because I know it can work. I've never used it. And yet you see on the platforms everywhere that people say, oh, plant clover, plant clover. It isn't a long-term solution, 3 to 5 years, and you constantly have to kind of reseed it to keep it up in good, thick health. So clover can be an idea. If you like the gray, if you like the grays as far as colors and stuff, maybe with a real fantastic summer bloom of white, consider Snow and Summer, Cerastium. That's also a nice one. And finally, a small scale one, but I have used this for rock gardens. I have used this for lawn substitute, and it's called Diamondia. You can see it right here. Diamondia has a nice little yellow flower in the summertime, and it's a very, very low, tight knit. Can take some foot traffic, and it's a good one. So there's a few selections that you can consider. Basically, when you're doing a lawn conversion, all your money and time is put in the upfront. It's all taking out hard work. You can generally do it in a weekend or two, And then once established, then all of a sudden your maintenance really drops down and then flattens out at a much less. You probably have a little bit of raking in the fall, depending on what tree cover you have. You have a little bit of mulch replacement every other year, and call it good. You're probably going to save yourself at least half, if not more, of your lawn time maintenance schedule. So what's another option? Hardscape issues, hardscape alternatives and additives. When you look at it from a different perspective, you don't have to have the whole area being ground cover or being a low-growing juniper. You can convert it into gravels and boulders, and then maybe a couple selected creepy crawlies in there, and then call it good. You know, now you don't have all plant material, you have a mixture. And with mixtures, you have structure and texture that comes along with the idea. Another thing, you can always replace it by extending your existing outdoor living area, either in cement or decking. You can put in hot tubs, you can do all kinds of things and make the outdoor living area even that much more. So what can you expect with this type of conversion? If you're on municipal water, you know whether you have reasonable rates or in some cases astronomical monthly water bills, considering either what your city charges or how much you've been using. Converting to a drip system, if you're out west, converting to a drip system can save you over 75% on your monthly water bill easily. If you go off into a hardscape situation where you have a few plant material and the rest is gravel or stone and boulders over a fabric, you're up to 90% of your outdoor water usage costs. That's pretty darn good, and for some of you, I'm sure that's a substantial cost savings. You know, with water, potable, fresh water in this day and age, it's becoming a very extremely valuable and yet elusive commodity year to year. I kind of got tired of always having to wonder if I'm going to be able to, if I put more money into my landscape to make it that show place, will I be able to water it correctly? It was one of the deciding factors for me leaving California. Anyway, I hope some of this has been valuable. Maybe get the creative juices flowing and thinking about a little bit of water conservation, a little bit of time conservation. Check it out. Check and do your own due diligence and see if it works for you. Drop by your mom and pop nursery and have one of the professionals show you these selections firsthand so you have a better idea. Hey, I'm Matt, and you can call me Coach. I'll catch you guys next Friday, every Friday. Don't forget to check out the podcast if you're on the go, and check out the website if you'd like to support the channel just a little bit, youryardcoach.com. It's usually always right here. Thanks for taking the time. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider it and give us a thumbs up. I'll catch you guys next Friday. Take care, and as always, to your landscape success. Bye for now.